So Fran, actually one question I had for you was, being in the business for the last several years, how have you seen the evolution of the art fair and where do you see it headed?
That's a really big question, so I'm going to take it in little bite-sized pieces. I think that art fairs have become, in many ways, marketplaces, and unless an art fair is really considered in how they promote their galleries and the artists that are being shown, there's really no point of view, no vision, no way of really deciding how to promote the fair. It's just everybody come. Which is great, but it's not necessarily attracting buyers. And I'm not including the major art fairs that people travel the world.
Yeah.
I'm sort of going to the next level of very good art fairs internationally. So one of the things that I think that would be great is to have more digital presence on site. And I think that particularly with the 3D capability, that would be really valuable to clients, because I believe personally that it's very hard to buy a piece of art without seeing it, smelling it, touching it, being with it, experiencing it. It's a very different thing than, for instance, this painting that's behind us. It's very different in person than when you see a flat image on screen, which really doesn't give it the life. So I think there's a really interesting way for art fairs to partner with or work with digital companies who are willing to come in and work with the individual galleries and the fair director of fair management to promote the fair in new and different ways than tradition.
And I think you make a very good point, because in order to participate in the fair, it's the galleries themselves that are, putting up a big investment in the upfront cost to attend these fairs.
Right.
So what I've heard from a lot of people who have shown in the fairs is sometimes they don't know whether they should or should not, because they're not sure if the economics are going to work out. Because to them, they put up a big capital investment to enter the fair, but if they don't sell right then and there, to them, their investment maybe wasn't worth it. So what I think a big opportunity for the fairs are, which you had alluded to in helping the galleries with their digital presence, is being able to create content for the galleries that are participating that exists not just during that 72 hours that the fair is going on, but really help create a digital presence for them that lasts beyond the fair, so that people know what art's been shown by each of the galleries and have an easy way to really access it and interact with the art, not just while the fair is going on.
I think there's a lot of opportunity, and I think particularly in pre-fair as opposed to post-fair. I think looking at a lot of the art that's going into these art fairs from the galleries prior to really lets people know what key pieces of art, not to show everything that you're bringing, because you want surprise, you want discovery, that's a very important part of an art fair and of a gallery, but to have enough so that you know when you create your list. Some of these fairs are massive. When you create your list of who you want to go see, you want to know ahead of time that, boy, I really love that painting by so-and-so, or that sculpture looks amazing. When I see it in person, I know if it will fit into my collection. So there's a lot of different aspects, but I think fairs should be well beyond their 72-hour physical presence. They should have a 6-month presence, a pre and a post, and really give an added benefit to all of these galleries that are participating and help with after sales.
I just wanted to jump into this discussion and talk about my role as a gallerist going to the art fair. Like you said, this is a very expensive investment every time we participate in one. I mean, it could cost between $30,000 and $100,000 depending on the art fair. And so we carefully have to think about what we take. But the other thing is, if you're going to go into an art fair, you have to study a little bit the market. And it's not going to be the first time that you're going to conquer that market. You have to insist many times in that market to get your clients, to get people to know you, because people just don't go to a fair and buy like crazy. No, they have to get to know you. So that's important. So I just, wanted to give my experience as an art gallery.
And I agree with that. I think that it's an investment, and galleries very often think they'll give an art fair one shot, and it doesn't always work the first time out. You're introducing your artist, they don't know you, and collectors can be very savvy. They want to know that you have some kind of longevity, and
Right.
that you have a real commitment, and that you're going to be back, and that you're not just there to sell, shiny polar bear.
You know, the buyer and the collector, they're savvy, and they will go into the internet and they'll check you out and see if you're legitimate and see what you do and how long you've been doing it for. So I think that the content creation that you're mentioning is key, because that's what they're going to find when they check you out. So the more content, the more they know about your artists and they know about you, the better it is to build a clientele.
And I think a lot of this conversation all comes back to the idea of brand and the role that brand plays for a gallery, for an artist, etc. And the power that brand has in influencing what type of art you buy, who you buy it from, how you buy it. The thing about brand is it's not something that happens overnight. It takes time to build a brand, as we've all seen. And so Fran, to your point, for example, you said a lot of galleries who will show up at an art fair for 1 year, they don't do well, and they bounce the next. What I say to that is, it's almost impossible to establish a brand that first time around. That's a lot of those people who are seeing that booth or that gallery for the first time. That's their first interaction with them. A big part of brand is cultivating that trust with the gallerist, that what you're buying is, a good and worthwhile piece and investment. So to go into a market quickly and get out, it's really, you need to be thinking more about the longer term.
And trust, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. People will ask you when you go to a fair, so how did you do at the fair? And sometimes you'll say, well, I sold one piece. And for people in general, that is a failure. They don't understand, people don't understand, or they don't think that you're starting to build a brand and you're starting to build a clientele, and that you have to, like I said, go back again and again and again. So not selling at your first art fair has nothing, it means nothing. It's a matter of insisting.
It is to a large degree, but there are also, very young galleries who don't have the resources if they don't make their money. So it's different at different stages in a gallery's life, what you can do and how you approach it. So for a very young gallery to do an art fair is a huge investment, and especially if they're doing their first art fair. So they have to think about it a little bit differently, and they may actually need to have those sales in order to survive.
Maybe that's when, for those very young galleries, this is when the branding online is going to be successful.
But I agree. I totally agree. But all of that takes building, and very tiny galleries, very tiny staff, and sometimes it's very difficult to do all of that. So it's all a progression, and there needs to be just an understanding. And one of the values of an art fair is that you can create trust with the collectors and the curators and the press, so that they know they can rely on you and come to you, and they can trust you about price, they can trust you about an artist's history. They know that if you give them a quote, they can rely on that quote. And a quote meaning a verbal quote as opposed to a price quote.